Adidas actually made a takedown model that I think is pretty good. And that's not a joke. I'm surprised too. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new and surprisingly good Adidas Nemeziz 18.3 in the launch World Cup Energy Mode Pack colorway. Now this is the second tier takedown model in the new Nemeziz 18 lineup. Your two top end models being of course the laceless 18 Plus with a $290 retail price, and then the 18.1 which retails for $225. These only cost $80 and look quite a bit like the top end model 18 Plus, given that it does include this very unique and kind of unusual looking, I'm still of that opinion, mid-cut collar. That's at least mid-cut on one side, not so much on the other. Either way, they've made some nice improvements over the Nemeziz 17.3, which had a lot of good qualities to it, but ultimately I thought that the fit of that shoe was very flawed. That does not seem to be an issue on this particular model, which is quite surprising to me because it's always been an issue that has plagued the 0.3 and even the 0.2 takedown models in the Adidas lineup, no matter which line you look at. So we're gonna go over what is good, what's not so good, whether or not these are worth it as far as a value for money option is concerned, because that's ultimately the market that they're going for. And of course, we're going to take a closer look at how they fit and feel on feet as well. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $80 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. Included with the boots is this box. Nothing else. Just this box. So starting off with the upper, not too much has physically changed in comparison to what they did with the Nemeziz 17.3. It's still a mesh-based synthetic that for the most part feels the same, but they've updated the tech specs and are now calling this Agility Mesh, but it's not really anything too fancy. It's a mesh-based synthetic with a polyurethane top layer and a padded lining material. It's thin, it's soft, it's flexible, and it honestly does have a fairly premium sock-like sensation. It doesn't feel plasticky, which ultimately, for me at least, is super important when it comes to these $80 price point takedown models, because often they can feel very plasticky, and plastic sensation to me is something that just screams really, really cheap. This, while it's not as premium as what you'll find on the 18.1 or the 18 Plus in the Nemeziz lineup, it doesn't feel too far off as far as overall comfort, feel, and touch on the ball is concerned. So as far as the upper goes, for 80 bucks, honestly, I think it's pretty good. It's not entirely one piece, as you can see. It does have a seam right here on the medial side, and there is also a seam right here on the lateral side. It's segmented to kind of work around this collar area, which we'll get into in just a second. And if you look closely, you're gonna notice that same zigzag pattern that you find on the top end model. That is simply just printed on the surface of a mesh-based synthetic. That is pretty straightforward. As far as touch on the ball is concerned, because it's soft, fairly thin, but with that padded lining, it is basically just that. It's a thin upper that has a little bit of padding to it. It's really just that simple. No extra grip, nothing too fancy happening here, which is not a bad thing. The upper also features a one-piece construction, which is quite interesting. You're gonna notice that it uses a dual lace hole setup with the laces running directly down the middle, and then filling in that middle portion of the upper is not an agility bandage like we'll see on the top end models, but instead just a stretchy, thin neoprene material that kind of extends unusually to the medial side right here, but the logic behind that is actually to allow you to stretch the opening enough to get these on and off relatively easily. So it's actually pretty smart design despite looking kind of weird, and it gives you a pretty consistent thickness across the entire upper while still giving you that one-piece feel where there aren't any overlapping materials. So overall, they actually executed this design quite well, given that it's only an $80 boot. Moving on to the rear of the shoe, this is where you're actually going to find quite a few elements that relate very closely to the top-end laceless Nemeziz 18 Plus that of course cost $290, not 80 bucks like these are going to cost. Now, what's interesting about what they did here is they actually made it mid-cut. There is no low-cut variation available for the Nemeziz 18.3 if you were wondering, and I don't think they're gonna make a low cut variation available as well. So this will be what it is for its entire run, and honestly I think that's a pretty good move on Adidas's part, because I really feel like people who are interested in this style of shoe at this price point would much rather have the mid-cut design and look anyway. So making the mid rather than low, I think is a good move at the end of the day. This is where you're going to find with this mid-cut collar a real agility bandage, which again is a carryover element from the top-end Nemeziz boots in the lineup. You're gonna find a lot more on those high-end models, but this has a single agility bandage that does the full wraparound effect right here. You can see it, and it's basically just an elasticated band. It's very high quality, but it's there basically just for the sake of looks to give you this mid-cut design. And it's kind of a weird collar in that it's mid-cut on one side and low-cut on the other. The lateral side has this kind of V shape to it, as you can see, the little cutout, and the medial side has this full kind of sidewall piece. It looks very big and long, and it looks better when they're on feet. You guys will see what that looks like in just a second, but I still think it's just kind of an unusual collar design just based on how it looks, but it feels perfectly fine. And if you're wondering if it feels weird at all, that's not the case. There's no ankle support here. It's pretty much just a little bit of elasticated material that wraps around your ankle area, not necessarily over tight, especially depending on the size of your ankle. You're gonna find that the heel counter is internal, as you'll find throughout the entire line. And then we get to some major improvements over the Nemeziz 17.3 internally. You're gonna find that it has pretty much the exact same heel liner, again, as that top end Nemeziz 18 Plus. It's this very fine suede, almost like a Clarino type material with plenty of extra padding, feels very comfortable right out of the box, and it has proper depth to the fit in the heel, which was my #1 complaint about the Nemeziz 17.3. That shoe had virtually all the same materials for the upper, but the fit in the heel was just weird. This fits really well, very comfortable, and we'll talk about it more later during the on-feet portion of the video. As far as the insole is concerned, because it is an Adidas Takedown model and they're pretty cheap with that kind of thing, the insole is fully glued in and non-removable. Not a big deal, but considering that other shoes at this price point do have removable insoles, not that it necessarily means the insole is better quality if you can remove it, it's just something that's a nice feature to have if you do want to swap out the insoles yourself. Don't get me wrong, this is just lightly glued in. You technically could pull it out if you really wanted to, but the fact that it is glued in and not removable, again, kind of a cheaper thing to do. Moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, it is a variation of the torsion frame that you'll find on the top end models, but out of different materials that aren't quite as light, but it does have good flexibility to it. I would actually go as far as to say that this might be more flexible out of the box than what you'll find from the top end model with an actual torsion frame, which is not a bad thing at all. And a lot of takedown models from the Adidas brands have suffered from awkwardly stiff flex points on the takedown model sole plates. This does not suffer from that same issue. So another improvement there over previous takedowns we've had from this brand. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's the Nemeziz layout. Technically it's FG, you could say that it's FG AG. I've worn this on artificial grass. I don't think it's the best. Stud pressure can be a little bit of an issue at these front two studs in my opinion, but everyone's gonna have their own experience on that. On firm ground though, honestly the traction is quite good, but of course with the Adidas brand, every single line has the exact same layout as far as the positioning of the studs are concerned. The only thing that changes are of course the shape of the studs, with the Nemeziz line having this kind of half circle, kind of cut off half. It's almost like a hybrid of a bladed and a conical stud in one. It feels relatively aggressive, but in comparison to other lines from the Adidas brand right now, I actually prefer, as far as aggressive stud patterns go, the new X18 stud pattern versus this one, but overall it gets the job done. There's definitely nothing wrong with it. And again, for the $80 package, it's better than what we had before. And then there's the weight, which historically has always been a weak point for a lot of Adidas takedown models, especially at the $80 price points. They never tend to be all that lightweight, but again, they've made some improvements here. In a size 9.5 US, these guys weigh in at 8.8 ounces, which obviously is not exceptionally lightweight at all, but it's not overly heavy either. These are going to have a lighter feel in general. If you are comparing these to the top end models, they do weigh about 1.5 ounces more, which is a noticeable amount of weight. But again, for 80 bucks, while you do have lighter options out there at this price point, these certainly aren't going to have a very heavy you feel when you're wearing them. So as you can see, I swapped out the stock orange laces for some black reflective SR4U replacement laces that accent really nicely with the black stripes on the lateral side. Plus, a lot of people are gonna have these. They're all gonna have orange laces. These are gonna separate you from everybody else, make them look that much more unique. If you are interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the Nemeziz 18.3 quite frankly feels great. The upper is soft and flexible, the sole plate isn't awkwardly stiff, and the heel, which by far has been my biggest issue with so many Adidas Takedown models over the last 10 years, is that it just has a normal depth to it. It's not awkwardly shallow where it feels like your heel is gonna pop out at any moment. This just feels normal, as they should. And like I said, it's a huge improvement over what they've been doing for the last little while, to the point where I can actually recommend an Adidas Takedown model simply based on these fitting and feeling so much better than what they've done in the past. As far as the overall width and general fit of the shoe is concerned, the fit is quite good. It's got a nice wrap around your foot. It's a one-piece upper. You can see the collar fits relatively well. It's a nice feeling shoe on your feet, despite it being on the more inexpensive side. It does not feel cheap in any way at all. Width-wise, I would say that they're gonna be suitable for most feet. Are they particularly wide? No, but as long as you don't have super wide feet, I don't think you're gonna have too many issues with these. And as far as sizing is concerned, my feet are about a 9.25. These are a 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I can finally say that there is an Adidas Takedown model that I would recommend, and that is the Nemeziz 18.3. It has a soft upper, it fits well, it feels natural on your feet. Obviously the price point is very fair, and it doesn't have anything overwhelmingly wrong with it, which historically has always been the case with almost any Adidas Takedown model. So while you do have other options that are worth considering at $80, like the Hypervenom Felon 3, now the Hypervenom Phantom 3 Academy, because Nike decided to change the name, I personally think that is still a little bit better of a shoe in regards to overall quality. If you're an Adidas guy and you love the way that the new Nemeziz looks, especially with this mid-cut design, perfectly understandable. I definitely think that this is one of those shoes that you should consider buying. Anyways, guys, that is it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $80 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.